ਓ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀਓ। ਪਰ ਦਰਬ ਹਿਰਣੰ ਬਹੁ ਵਿਗਣ ਕਰਣੰ ਉਚਰਣੰ ਸਰਬ ਜੀ ਕੈ। ਲਉ ਲਈ ਤ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨਾ ਅਤਿਪਤ ਮਨ, ਲਉ ਲਈ ਤ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨਾ ਅਤਿਪਤ ਮਨ ਮਾਏ। ਕਰਮ ਕਰਤ ਸੇ ਸੂਕਰੈ, ਮੱਤੇ ਸਮੇਵ ਚਰਣੰ ਉਦਰਣੰ ਭੈ ਦੁਤਰੈ। ਅਨੇਕ ਪਾਤਿਕ ਹਰਣੰ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਮ ਨਾ ਸੰਸੀਐ। ਅਨੇਕ ਪਾਤਿਕ ਹਰਣੰ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਮ ਨਾ ਸੰਸੀਐ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਆਪ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਸਭਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਧੰਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਪਾਵਨ ਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਦੋ ਅਖੀਰਲੇ ਸਲੋਕ ਸਹਿਸਕ੍ਰਿਤੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਰਵਣ ਕੀਤੇ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, everyone's just listen to the 66th and 67th sloks by Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah in the Bani of Salok Sehaskriti, which are the last two sloks of this Bani. In these two sloks, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah Ji saying to us, par darb hiranang par darb. Darb, Sangat Ji, can be translated to wealth. Darb can be translated to somebody else's possession. Darb can be translated to a thing, something, and here par means others, something that belongs to somebody else. Par darb. Paatshah is saying in the par darb hiranang are talking about those people that are constantly got their eye on other people's things, on somebody else's wealth. And I was really thinking about this today. Sadhguru Ji Sache Paatshah is saying, but who is it that ends up doing that? Who is that? When we look at the next pangti in this slok, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah kende low lay, kende somebody low lay. What that translates to, it's again, it's like, it's one of those kahavat, Sangat Ji. It's one of those sayings, low lay. ਭਾਵ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਲੈ ਲਵਾਂ, ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਲੈ ਲਵਾਂ, ਆ ਵੀ ਲੈ ਲਵਾਂ. So it translates to ਆ ਵੀ ਲੈ ਲਵਾਂ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਲੈ ਲਵਾਂ, meaning that, oh, I'll have this as well. Oh, I'll have that as well. Oh, I like a bit of that. Yeah, I'll take that as well. Kende so always wanting this, that and the other, basically. That's what the saying is. The kende lo lei trishna. And where is that coming from? It's coming from our trishna, coming from that burning desire inside of us. That burning desire that is got that inside. That illusion from inside, thinking, mil jave ta main bas fir main andron santusht ho jaunga. That if I was to get this, I'll be satisfied. If I was to get that, I'll be satisfied. If I had this, I'll be satisfied. If I had that, I'll be satisfied. That lowlay trishna, that trishna is making us think that if I was to get this, then I'll be okay. I'll be then content. but what happens? Atipt man maaye. But what it doesn't realize, this mind, it remains atipt. Sangaji, atipt means it remains unsatisfied. So the word is tipat from Sangaji, having meaning coming from the word tripti meaning having satisfaction. But it remains, the mind, man atipt, remains unsatisfied. Atipt man maaye. Maya Sangatji means maya, illusion, and it remains unsatisfied. Because it's like this, having that expectation of something external, of whether it be this body that is an illusion in which way, meaning that it seems real, that it seems as if it's going to remain forever. But it doesn't. And that's the truth of it, and that in that sense it's an illusion. Everything around us, everything physical, it keeps changing. And we think what we think it is, it's not that. Because when we receive that, what we had our hope set in, when we receive that, it doesn't actually do that for us inside. All we're doing is, Sangatji, we are expanding and increasing on our comforts. And it's those and conveniences in life. Sangatji, we have a charger for our phone. Just going to use a random example here. We've got a charger for our phone. We use the wire to charge our phones, our smartphones. And Sangatji, and then we're thinking, oh, that's not very convenient. These wires break easily. And somebody tells you, you know what you should do? You should get one of those wireless chargers, those Bluetooth chargers. And we think, oh wow. So somebody puts that in our mind, puts that in, Sangatji. We listen to that through our ears, through that our sense, and it goes into our mind, and we're thinking, oh wow. And all that's happening is we're increasing our conveniences. So we get that. We get a little rush, like that sugar rush we get from eating sweets, from drinking coffee. We get that little rush for that little moment. And then, Sangatji, we get that, and what we've done is we've expanded our comfort and convenience. And then we're back to square one, and then that Trishna is still burning. Sangatji, Pachaji saying, lo lay Trishna. Ma avi lalama Trishna kendiya, let me get this as well, let me get that as well. But it's not coming to an end. Atipt, the mind remains unsatisfied. Maya, because this is just an illusion. It's not what we actually think it is, what we actually expect, the expectations that we've got from it, for it to satisfy us. It doesn't do that. Sangatji, I'm going to give this random example sometimes. ਹੁਣ ਇਹ ਇਦਾਂ ਆ, ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੋਚੀਏ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਰਹਿਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਜਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਮਾਇਆ ਦਾ ਰੂਪ ਆ, all of these things that are created by that one, by ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ, the pati of this maya, ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਮਾਧਵੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਮਾਧੂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਮਾਂ ਭਾਵ ਮਾਇਆ, and then the second part ਭਾਵੇਂ ਹੋਵੇ ਧੋ, ਉਹ ਮਾਧਵੇ ਧਵੇ, ਧਵ is talking about the pati. ਅਸਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਮਾਇਆ ਦੇ ਪਤੀ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਖੋਜਦੇ ਪਏ ਨੇ, ਪਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਕੀ ਨੇ? ਆਪਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਮਾਇਆ ਨੂੰ ਫੜ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਉਸ ਪਤੀ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਅਲੱਗ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ. The truth is, Sangatji, our inner self is yearning for the husband, for the creator of this maya. But what we do is we fall in love with what the husband has created. Husband Lord Vaheguru Ji has created the maya. So ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਇੱਥੇ? ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪੰਜ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮਾਇਆ ਕਰਮ ਕਰਤ ਹੈ ਸੂਕਰ ਹੈ. Paj is saying, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ you carrying out you're making so many efforts. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ what? ਕਹਿੰਦੇ you're just living your life like a pig. This is Guru Sahib Ji's words, ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, and I say this again. ਹਮ ਬਾਰਿਕ ਤੂੰ ਗੁਰ ਪਿਤਾ ਹੈ. That I'm your child, but you are my pita hai, Guru. Sadhguru Ji, Pachaji, let's look at this very carefully. Pachaji saying to us, kende hum barik tu gur pita hai, de mat samjhahe. When we read these beautiful words of Tan Sri Guru Ramdas Ji, Sache Pachaji, pyareo, ਇੱਥੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਰਾਮਦਾਸ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਮ ਬਾਰਿਕ ਤੂੰ ਗੁਰ ਪਿਤਾ ਹੈ ਦੇ ਮਤ ਸਮਝਾਏ। ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖੋ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਹੋਵੇ ਮਾਂ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਹੋਵੇ ਪਿਤਾ, whether it's a mother or whether it's a father, and if the child is doing something and it's very animal like, and if a child does not look after their bedroom and their bedroom is a complete and utter mess, that mother or father might turn around and say to the child, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੇਖ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੂਰਾ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਤੂੰ ਜੀਉ ਰਿਹਾ ਆ, ਕਿਵੇਂ ਖਲਾਰਾ ਪਾਇਆ ਆ, ਤੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਹੈ ਹੀ ਸੂਰ। Even though a mother or father might turn around and say, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ you're just like a pig, look at the state of your room, your room is a pigsty. Don't we say these words, don't we? Clean your room up, clean it up, ਸਾਫ਼ ਕਰ ਇਹਨੂੰ, ਕਿਵੇਂ ਸੂਰਾ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਖਲਾਰਿਆ ਪਿਆ ਆ। ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, ਪਰ ਇਹਦਾ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਮਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਪਿਤਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪਿਆਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ। A mother, a father that's got that true love inside, they don't want their child to live in that mess, because they know living in that mess could create a messy mind. Or we can look at it the other way round. A messy mind will be shown from the way they live. But tidying up your environment can actually have a positive effect on your mind as well. ਮਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ that ਪਿਆਰਿਓ ਕੇ ਪਾਸ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਮ ਬਾਰਿਕ ਤੂੰ ਗੁਰ ਪਿਤਾ ਹੈ ਦੇ ਮਤ ਸਮਝਾਏ। And the Guru does the same thing for us. The Guru takes us like their child, and the father Guru that embraces us and might call us a sur sometimes, might call us a pig sometimes, because the Guru sees that, look at the mess we've made out of our entire life, not just the bedroom. And behind that, the mother or father is saying, that will be better for you. You'll be picking up more life skills of remaining tidy and clean. So when you go out there in that big wide world and you have to live amongst this society, so that you can then have presentation skills. When you go out there and work with other people, if you pick up these skills at home, you can take those skills outside as well. And you can have more clarity. Because behind there is always behind there is always संगत जी प्यार करके उस गल दे पिछे जो भी माता पिता कह रहे ने, भावें उन्होंने सूर कर आख रहे ने उस समय, even though the mother or the father is actually calling the child a pig, behind that प्यारे अत दा प्यार लुकिया पिया, but there is so much love behind that. उसे वेले the pita doesn't actually start treating their child like a pig, do they? ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਉਸੇ ਵੇਲੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਸਵਾਰ ਲਿਆ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਗਲੇ ਨਾਲ ਲਾ ਲਿਆ। ਐਵੇਂ ਹੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਈ ਵਾਰ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ ਸੂਰ ਕਰਕੇ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਨੇ। Sometimes Guru Sahib ji says to us that, look at the mess you're making out of your life. It's going to destroy your mind. If you're going to become like this pig and acting in such a way that you just want to get your hands and you want to get hold of everything, you want this to be yours, you want that to be yours, and in that you even then end up going to the extent of where you actually then you've got your eyes on par darab hiranang, that you actually then take what is not yours to that level. You'll even put rukavat in other people's lives. You'll put obstacles and stones in other people's lives so they can trip up, meaning so they can't get ahead of you. We'll look at that in a bit more detail in a minute, Sangat ji. But Guru Sahib ji, if we look at Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah's Bani, they say to us in Sri Japji Sahib that asankh malech mal bhakh khahe. Sangat ji, when we look at these words of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah ji, saying asankh malech, there's countless of people that live like malech. Malech, Sangat ji, malech is a word used for somebody that is uncivilized, somebody that is living in such a way. But who is it that Maharaj is referring to as being uncivilized? Is Maharaj referring to somebody that lives in the jungles of being uncivilized? No, Maharaj is saying that Malech mal meaning dirt, filth. Pachi kende Malech or somebody that is uncivilized, is that person kende mal pak. Pak Sangatji means food, to eat. Kende pak khahe. Maaf karna, pak means food and khahe obviously means to eat. Kende they eat filth. What does it mean that they eat filth? Sangatji, the concept of this is very deep. So there's one where somebody's eating filth in the sense of they don't care in the environment that they actually physically eat. They'll go anywhere. It doesn't matter if there is any hygiene involved. It doesn't matter to them. They don't care about if somebody is licking their fingers and the fingers are all over that. And sometimes, Sangatji, because we haven't done our job properly in explaining what jhoot actually is. Jhoot, Sangatji, what impurity actually is. Because jhoot is two things. I know this isn't my visha, this isn't the actual topic, just going out for just a minute. This will help Sangatji in many ways. It's all related, to be honest, because even this is related to Maharaji calling us a pig. Kende, you're going on, you're acting like a pig, Maharaji saying to us in the Salok Sehaskriti, Guru Arjan Dev Ji. So it does actually, it all fits in. So I'm not going out. Pyaro, and living in an uncivilized manner. Remember, whatever the Guru says to us, if the Guru calls us a pig, the Guru calls us somebody that is living like a Malech, somebody that is living an uncivilized way. It's Guru Sahib Ji talks about in the Rahat Namme, it's talking about jhoot, living in an impure manner, becoming impure. Whatever the Guru says, pyaro, is to help us. Karke maa pe da ta ehi kaam hunda ki main mere bacche nu uppar chakkana hai. I'm going to lift my child up, and because we didn't do that job correctly in understanding and then explaining the concept of jhoot, of eating something that where somebody else's hands have touched and it's impure. There's two things here of what jhoot is, impurity. Sangatji, number one is just basic hygiene. We know today, Sangatji, that you can watch programs on this, of that if so many different hands have been into the same plate and somebody else, and we just start eating off that same plate. We don't know if they've washed their hands properly and their hands have touched something else. And then they've put those same hands into there, they put those hands into their mouth, and they might have some form of virus, we don't know. They might be carrying a particular type of bacterial virus. Or Sangatji, when we say it's viral, or it's actually it's bacterial where somebody needs antibiotics to treat that, we don't know what somebody's actually carrying or what somebody has touched. And then Sangatji, and then all our hands are going into that same place, in that way, because this isn't talking about Sangatji, because this is what we can relate to. That then becomes filth that we're putting in our mouth, that is actually then going to cause harm to us. We can fall ill over these things, forming all these different, putting all these different types of bacteria into our stomach, that then will cause problems, that could cause things like IBS, can cause all sorts of things. How many of times has somebody gone to India and then the lack of hygiene in certain places, they've gone out and eaten golgappe from a stand that's gone, especially those that have gone from here, and their stomachs aren't made out of steel, where they haven't got that level of tolerance to picking up certain types of bacteria, and then they have to end up suffering. I know somebody that very close to me, Sangatji, that has experienced that 20 years ago. It was probably about 15 years ago. Gone to India and then never been the same again where their digestive system is concerned. Many of times even had to go and visit the hospital. Because why? Because we didn't pay attention. And because then we thought this is and people started talking and saying, the Brahmana Rita, this is this is that. that you guys are discriminating, you're saying that you shouldn't. It's because we didn't understand it ourselves. And then Sangat ji, it's not only that concept as well. It's not only about picking up other germs. And then also Sangat ji, it means the actual energy somebody is carrying as well. That energy is transferable. That energy can be transferred over just because of somebody's thoughts and somebody's ways about the way they are. And if we haven't reached yet that level of spirituality from within ourselves, where we are fully living in this cocoon and protected, and we've created this shell, until then, Sangat ji, then what happens is there's a transfer of these energies that can affect our minds. Sharing food, and this in no way is judging somebody and looking down at them, but the truth is we don't know who and where we're going to eat, that what level somebody is at. That's why it's always safe then not to actually then eat from the same plate with other people in that way, because just because of somebody's way of living and somebody's thought of having an immense amount of anger and hatred towards other people. It could be even towards you. We don't know that. It could be towards anything, anyone. Somebody's raging up from inside. Somebody might be full of lustful thoughts towards somebody. And all of this, everything has got its own level of energy. And that just very, that I use that simple example because I always try and I might use repetitive examples, but I try and use examples that everybody can relate to, that are more relatable to people. And if a couple, husband and wife, they've just kicked off, had a little argument in the room, and that room, the whole energy changes in that room. And Sangat ji, and then what happens is your face is all off as well. But then that vibration starts to spread throughout the room. And it changes the energy in the room. And how many times, whether you're spiritual or not, you walk into that room, whether you believe in God or not, whether you have faith in God or not, whether you believe in something in spirituality or not, it does not matter. But the truth is, and I can guarantee you that everyone that is watching this and will watch this in the future can relate to this. They walk into that room, and even that couple, they were expecting some guests or some sangat. They've unexpectedly kicked off, had a little argument, and now they're hoping, and now they're thinking, oh my God, such and such is going to come. And what are we supposed to do now? They've not got the ability to switch their mood, their emotions, not able to get rid of it. The energy is there and they can't do anything, and they're like, oh God, I can't do anything now. They're going to come anyway. They don't want them to come now because they don't want them to experience that. But they've walked in, they've not been told anything, and they've walked in and they're like, oh my God, what have we just walked into? Nobody's saying anything. Nobody said a word. They're sitting there quietly now, but you can just feel it. Sangat ji, in that way, this transfer of energy. And we may be feeling very negative, and we don't want, remember, it's always there, always compassion. So we don't want to put that on anyone else. And then we've got to be safe and protect ourselves as well, because we might not be at that level. We might still be so open and don't know how to control these energies where they end up affecting us. Why do they call something prashada? Why do they call something langar? It becomes langar because it's made with love. It's made with Sangat ji, it's made with pyar, it's made with love. And it's made with that mamata, made with that inner cha from inside, that is Sangat ne shaknaya. Oh, this Sangat's gonna eat this. It's made with that excitement. It's made with that this family that is coming is gonna eat this. I can't wait for them to be nourished and taste this. It's all that energy is being put in from the inside. It's like, you're in awe of Vaheguru ji. And you're saying, Vaheguru, Vaheguru, you're putting that in from inside. Remember, if you're just saying Vaheguru from the outside and there's thoughts of hatred from inside, that is what's inside is what you're transferring into there. Because then that word will become just mechanical and it will become dry. Or it will be like trying to churn something dry. And it's like it's like burning the motor of something. If you're like, Sangaji, sometimes you get those water pumps and you pump it into the water, and then that pump runs and it throws the water out. But if you then run that pump dry, it's made to run it in water, it'll burn out. And it's the same like that. We're just burning ourselves out. We might be saying the word, but from inside, there's like, oh God, I can't believe they're coming, but Vaheguru, Vaheguru. But when it comes from here, you're saying, Vah, thank you, Vaheguru. You're going to send an extension of yourself to our house today. Because everyone has your light inside of them. And I'm going to have the opportunity to feed your light today, Vaheguruji. To feed those bodies that have your light inside of them. And that from inside is saying, Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru. And then it becomes, Pyaro, what does it become? It becomes then prashada. It becomes blessed food. I was saying to my Singani yesterday, I was saying that, I'd really want to put something like a inspiring verse up in the kitchen. And as I was thinking, what could it be? And what came to my heart, Sangaji, because this is all about this is all about sharing. And what came to my heart was, and I said to her, how about blessed is that food that is made with love. Sangaji, blessed is that food that is made with love. And the truth is, jiri cheez pyar na bani jaave na, asal vich unnu prashad kiya janda hai. And that should be a reminder constantly when we step into that kitchen to start cooking. That blessed is that food that is made with love. Prem na banauna. Remember, prem is unconditional. When we're going to feed somebody, not expecting anything back for them. How many times do we say to our children, when our children don't do as we say to them, मैं तेरे लिए सारा कुछ कर दी हां, मैं तेरे लिए सारा कुछ करदा हां, मैं ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਧੋਨੀ ਆ, मैं तेरे वास्ते ਕੱਪੜੇ ਧੋਨਾ ਆ, मैं तेरे वास्ते खाना बनाउनी आ, and saying that I make your food for you, I do this for you, I do that for you, Sangat ji, that's not love. ਇਹ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ. ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਹੈ ਬਣਾਤਾ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਭੁੱਲ ਗਏ. ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, love is you do it and you forget. ਉਹਨੂੰ ਭੁਲਾ ਦੇਣਾ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ. ਅਸੰਖ ਮਲੇਚ ਮਨ ਭੱਖ ਖਾਏ. ਮੇਰੇ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮਲੇਚ ਉਹ ਨੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮਲ ਮੈਲ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ, that eat dirt. ਸੋ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ, this was really sitting on my mind today, that Sadhguru ji, it's the samapti of the Katha, and in mere man vich zarur hai ke Paatshah, all that's coming into my heart, that Paatshah ji, whatever you say to us like a father, like a mother. You truly take us like your children. That hum barik tu gur pita hai. That we are your children, Sadhguru ji. Hum barik tu gur pita hai. You are our father. De mat samjhaye, and I beg you to give me that wisdom. And constantly keep helping me, Satguru ji Padshah. That Jan Nanak Das, look at this Guru Ramdas ji Sache Paatshah ji is saying about themselves. Can they take this Jan Nanak, this servant, Das har kandya, kende an har paj rakhaye, and keep my honor. Sangatji, and I was thinking that I really want to share this, but then that was my heart. That was my hirda. Jithon pyar uchhalada aya, where love wells up from inside of us. That was my heart. But you know what my mind said? The intellectual mind, it said, oh, but that doesn't come up in today's saloks, so you won't be able to cover that. So forget about it. But look at this is what you call, but pyareo, the moment we surrender, the Guruji dekho kiਵੇਂ aap ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਕਰਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ. But look how Guru takes care of us. Coming back to Sache Paatshah sloks, talking about those that end up living their life like pigs, not caring for what they're eating because of this inside and these burning desires. But with that, what ends up happening, can you go to the extent of darab hiranang? Hiranang means to actually take and steal the wealth of others. And I was thinking about this today, and I spoke to my Singani and I said, how can I make this relatable? And she said the best way you can make it relatable, especially during these times where a lot of people are working from home, how we steal from our employers of doing a lot less work than we should be providing. Sangji, I was going to talk about maybe hours in saying, and actually, where we lie, jhoot bolana, because to steal, jhoot always comes into it, lies always comes into it. And we lie and we may be doing less hours than we're actually recording and getting paid for more hours. But then I thought deeper about that, and I thought actually, okay, yeah, there's a fine line, and I'm not saying that could be outright wrong for some, but it's actually more about the work. It's more about when we lie and we don't actually produce quality work, because during that time when we should be working, instead we're listening to somebody called Bhai Baljit Singh on YouTube, on Basics of Sikhi YouTube channel, and instead of producing quality work and giving that work that we should be doing, and then but still getting paid the full amount and using other excuses, because instead we're doing something entirely different. And Sangaji, I might not be able to relate to you that are listening at home with my examples, but contemplate this and fit it for your own situation in your own life. In any way, Sangaji, when Baba Nand Singh Ji would say, ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਬਾਬਾ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਧਰਮ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਤ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ? ਕਹਿੰਦੇ what is ਧਰਮ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਤ? What does it mean to live, to earn a righteous living? ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੁਣੋ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਦਿਹਾੜੀ 100 ਦੀ ਆ, 100 ਰੁਪਈਆ ਦਿਹਾੜੀ ਆ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ, ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ 101 ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਕੇ ਦਵੋ ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਧਰਮ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਤ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ. ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ said, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ if you get paid 100 rupees a day, ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ said ਧਰਮ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਤ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ righteous living, earning righteously is if you do work equivalent to 101, always more than even what you're getting paid. Fully devoted, with full devotion. And Sangat, this goes for me as well. Sangat gives me the opportunity to do this Katha. And Sangat, my ardas in your charan is that I'm able to do it with full devotion and give my everything to this. And Sangat, mere vich bahut kamiyan ne. I've got so many shortfalls and shortcomings, whatever you want to call it. My English isn't great, Sangat ji. My flow is in Punjabi. So I might sometimes pronounce words wrong in English. I might get these terminologies wrong as well. But please do look at those things. Because this isn't a test about vocabulary, and this isn't an intellectual journey. Let's connect with our hearts with each other. With Pakya Pao Apar. Because that language of love is limitless, pyareo. I make many mistakes when I speak. But please try and connect to my hirda. So let's connect with our hearts. And Sangatji, I know that I fall short so much in serving the Sangat with this beautiful job that my Guru has blessed me with. But that is also stealing when we don't give it our all. And that could be so relatable for so many people today. And doing silly things like, if we have to claim some mileage because our company has sent us somewhere, and actually claiming a lot more than we've done. Doing all of these little things, this all comes from these burning desires from inside. Par darb hiranang, baho vign karanang. Paatji kende baho vign karanang. That just to achieve and get somewhere, we sometimes put so many obstacles in other people's lives. Not wanting somebody like me could think, I don't want somebody else to be above and ahead of me in doing Katha, and not realizing that Katha is all about compassion. That Katha is meant to be because there's people that may be suffering in some form of way. And Katha is compassion, where it can soothe that suffering and it could intensify their relationship with Vaheguruji and give them and bring them sukh and bliss. But if I forget that, and then I could think, well, I don't want somebody else to know these tricks. I don't want them to have this knowledge. I want to keep this knowledge away from them. That could be, and then I could be putting obstacles in their way instead. In not wanting them to progress so that I can have everything. In companies, Sangatji. In working in organizations. Setting somebody up and saying something against them. Be to whoever is taking something to your manager about somebody else. And saying, you know what, I don't think they're doing this correctly. I don't think they're doing that. And bringing them down, just so you can, for your own growth. Look at what Pachi says here. Kende ucharan sarb ji ka. Kende then whatever you ucharan, whatever you say, whatever you speak, sarb meaning everything, all of what you speak. Singhaji is what for? Ji ka is for your own self. It's for your own selfish needs. It's to see how can I gain, how can people only look at me, at what I'm doing. How can this become all about me? Paatji कहने लगे, this is living a life of a pig. कहते से sukre. And then Paatji say to us in the last salok of this beautiful Bani, Sache Paatji say to us, pyareo, Matte Samev Charanang, leaving us here on a beautiful positive note. Kande matte means to be intoxicated. Samev Sangatji means with. Nal, matte Samev Charanang, but those that become intoxicated and remain in the feet of God, internally remain humbled and enjoying the bliss of being in the feet of God. Remember what it feels like to be intoxicated. having that nasha. You know, Sangaji, when that name of God is beating inside of our heart, it creates this intoxication. But this intoxication is so different to the intoxication of alcohol or any other forms of drugs that we take something externally and put it in us. But this naam that we recite, that's given to us by our Guru with absolute love, and when it starts to vibrate inside of our heart, it forms this nasha where worldly, where anything taken externally, alcohol, it will impair your vision. It will depart your intellect. It will reduce your intellect. But this nasha is such that it makes you sharper. It opens your heart more. It makes you more compassion. It makes you more alert. But remember, in that nasha, you're in this beautiful place, and it takes you to that beautiful place of now there's no space left for greed. There's no space left for stealing. There's no space left for wanting to bring others down. And you're able to, in that intoxication of God's feet, you're able to Sangaji udaranang pa dutre. Dutre means this pa, this world ocean that is so dutre, so difficult to get across. We are saved whilst living in this world. Countless of sins are destroyed. Nanak Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah kende Sad Sangam na Sansya, in the company of saints, all our Sangat Ji, our doubts are removed from us. That is actually the Samapti. But just before I actually say Fateh, I want to share many people ask me, many Sangat ask me this question, and they say, Bhai Sahab, kende tadi sab to tanu kehdi sakhi a jehdi tade man nu mondi a? Jehdi kehdi a o sakhi jehdi tade dil nu pighal ke rakh dindi a? What is that sakhi that melts your heart, that entices your mind? And Sangat Ji, and connecting with this, where Paatshah Ji saying that when somebody is intoxicated in God's feet, and who comes to my mind is Bhai Sahab Bhai Veer Singh Ji. Bhai Sahab Bhai Veer Singh Ji, who's born Sangat Ji in 1872. He was so intoxicated even as a child at such a young age. When Bhai Veer Singh Ji was very young, I can't remember the age properly because it's been so long since I've read the Sakhi, maybe anything between 10 and 12, about that age. They were staying with their Nana Ji at that time. Their Nana Ji's name was Gyani Hazara Singh, who was a Sampradai Gyani, who actually did Sangat of Satto Gali Taksal, Sangat Ji of Taksala Baba Amir Singh Ji. Beautiful, drenched Mahapurkhs they did Sangat of, and that's who Bhai Veer Singh Ji often stayed with their Nana Ji. Had that great inspiration around them all the time. Many of things that we actually read today, they're actually written by Gyani Hazara Singh, and Bhai Veer Singh Ji have edited that work. Like Bhai Gurdas Ji's Varan Steek, like the Shabd Kosh of Bhai Veer Singh, but it's actually Gyani Hazara Singh, just edited by Bhai Veer Singh. Just finishing off with this Sakhi Sangat Ji. Bhai Veer Singh Ji, when they would go to school, there was a child that came to school that was quite not from a very well off background. And Sangat Ji, he'd been ill for whatever reason, and during this illness he had become very weak. And what the school did for him was that they actually set up for somebody to bring, somebody nearby that had a little dukaan, that had a little shop, and they would sell milk at that shop. And it was very rare back in those days because a lot of people, most people would actually produce milk themselves from their own cattle within their households. So what the school did was they set up that this child would have milk every day, just so that child can focus more on his studies and become more strengthened. But as the child had been drinking this milk, I think it was about a month that had passed, and at the end of that month, the school sent a bill to this child's home. But they could not afford to pay for this milk, and this child was so stressed out, thinking that how am I going to pay for this milk? प्यारे जेड़े संत कौन है? Who is a true sant? संत प्यारे ਉਹ ਨੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਹਿਰਦਾ ਨਾ ਦਇਆ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਭਰਿਆ ਹੋਵੇ। Sant ਉਹ ਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਦੁੱਖ ਨਾ ਦੇਖ ਸਕੇ। A sant is that is not able to see the suffering of somebody else and whose heart is filled with compassion. ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਕੇਵਲ ਉਮਰ ਦੇਖੋ 12 ਸਾਲ ਲਾ ਲਓ, let's say 12 years old. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਹਿਰਦਾ ਸਹਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਿਆ, they could not tolerate. Just before, pyareo, why I'm speaking a little bit more Punjabi today in today's Katha, such a dear Gursikh Bhai to me, a Gursikh brother to me, Sangat ji, older than me, who lives in India on the outskirts of Delhi. I think he lives in a place called Noida. ਇੰਨੇ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਨੇ ਨਾ, ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਅੱਤ ਦੇ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਨੇ। ਪਿਆਰੇ ਭਾਈ ਪੁਸ਼ਪਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ just sent me a message before, and he said that he heard a poem by a girl that had been translated, a poem by Rabinder Singh, maaf karna, not Singh, I think his name was Rabindra Tagore, and he wrote a poem about that connection with your mother tongue and how you can flow in your mother tongue and you cannot do it in any other. The way you can flow in your own mother tongue, you can't flow in any other language. And he sent me that poem, and he said, Bhai Sahib, it reminded me of you, of that living in UK, that you still have so much pyar and prem for Punjabi language. And that lit my heart up, and ਤਾਂ ਥੋੜੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਅੱਜ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹੋਰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦੀ ਫਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਦਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹਿਰਦਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ, ਉਹ ਖਿੱਚਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਦਇਆ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਪਿਆਰੇ, ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਦਇਆ ਸੀਗੀ ਉਹ ਉਛਲ ਕੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਨੂੰ ਆਵੇ। that daya, that compassion inside of Bhai Veer Singh ji, that was just coming up, welling up inside of them, and they couldn't tolerate, and they couldn't bear to see the suffering of this child that they were under so much stress. How are they going to pay for this milk? ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਨੇ ਮੈਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਮੈਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਨਾ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂ, ਫਿਰ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਨੇ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਉੱਪਰ ਭਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਾਉਣਾ. They said, shall I speak to my Nana ji? But then they thought, no, I don't want to put that weight upon my Nana ji's head. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਹੈ, but there's somebody that I can go to that will never feel this as a burden and weight, and always will listen to me with an open heart. But at such a young age, ਪਤਾ ਕਿਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਗਏ ਨੇ? ਹੰਬਾਰਿਕ ਓਹ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, ਹੰਬਾਰਿਕ ਤੂੰ ਗੁਰ ਪਿਤਾ ਹੈ, ਦੇ ਮਤ ਸਮਝਾਏ. They went to ਧੰਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਹੱਥ ਜੋੜੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੰਬਾਰਿਕ ਤੂੰ ਗੁਰ ਪਿਤਾ ਹੈ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ I'm your child and you are my father. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਦੇ ਮਤ ਸਮਝਾਏ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ show me the way, give me the mat, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ give me the understanding what to do in this situation. There's a boy who is your child as well, because everyone are your children एक पिता एक सके हम बारिक तू मेरा गुरहाई. ते एक पिता, we are all the children of one father. एक पिता एक सके हम बारिक तू मेरा गुरहाई. You are my greatest of gurus. Gurhai, hai means hai. You are my father, my guru. Kende, I'm in this little situation. I can't bear to see his pain. Main ki kara, Pitaji? What can I do, my father, Guru Nanak? Show me the way. Ardas kiti, matha tekya. But pyareo, atal vishwash andar rakhya. It's unwavering faith they had inside of them when they did that ardas. Pyaro, the next morning, Bhai Veer Singh Ji, the park that they walk through, that they go to school, they're walking through that park, and what do they see on the floor? They see that exact amount that is owed to that milkman. Bhai Veer Singh Ji ne oh paise dekhe ne pyareo, dharti uppar paye hoye, to oh sochan lage kende hey mana, as they're about to go down and they're about to pick up that money, par Bhai Veer Singh Ji de man vich aaya कि पर दरबे नूं हथ ना लावे, हों तिस घोल घुमाया पर दरबे नूं हथ ना लावे. कहंदे that Bhai Gurdas Ji has said that I'm a sacrifice to that sect that does not touch the wealth of others. They said this wealth is not mine. They said whoever this wealth belongs to, it's a lot of money. It's a park. Sangat Ji, this is in the late 1800s. It's a lot of money. It's in a park. They said whoever's dropped it will come back for it. Look how many people are here. Pyaro, that's the first day. Bhai Veer Singh Ji goes back home. The next morning, the second day, goes through that park and sees in that same exact spot. They see that that money is there again. Bhai Veer Singh Ji is thinking, no, I'm not going to touch this money. Whoever it belongs to will come and pick it up. And Bhai Veer Singh Ji had this thought, that how come nobody's stolen this money? Look how many people go through this park. Ah, pyareo. Satgur jagta hai deo. My guru is awake. Bhai Veer Singh Ji teesre din aaye. It's the third day now. Bhai Veer Singh Ji is walking through that park. Bhai Veer Singh Ji ne ki vekhya ke halle vi oh maya aj uthe pei hui a. They see that that money is still there in that park. Bhai Veer Singh Ji thalle no hoye. Yaad rakho 12 saal di umr a. Andar pyare ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਦਇਆ ਆ. ਆਪਣੇ ਹਿਰਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੋਈ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਮੈਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਾਂ. ਅੱਜ ਜਦੋਂ ਥੱਲੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ, they've gone down and they're thinking, hey ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ, hey ਧੰਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ, ਇਹ ਦਰਬ ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਭਰਾਇਆ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ yes, this wealth does not belong to me and it belongs to somebody else. Kende, but how can it be that it's the third day and nobody's even seen it and picked it up? Kende, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah Ji, kende, this ardas I've done is for somebody else. And kende, this money has come from somebody else and belongs to somebody else. Kende, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah Ji, these are your games. Guru Nanak Dev Ji, I did an ardas and you've put that exact amount here. Because you listen to those crying hearts that cry out to you without even a speckle of doubt in their mind. Bhai Veer Singh Ji picked up that money, pyareo. And they went and paid off that milkman. And they said to the milkman, I don't want anyone to know that I've done this. That is a true Bhagat Guru Prasadi Jini Ahab Tajya Har Vasna Samani. Pyare, I wanted to share with you. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatji spoke about those that steal other people's wealth because of that greed inside of their mind. But then they said, then in the end, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatji, they spoke about those that have become intoxicated in Vaheguru Ji's charan. Bhai Veer Singh Ji was intoxicated. So they had no greed in their mind. They lived for others. प्यारियो, इतनी एक बेनती प्रवान करनिया एक नहीं पर अनेਕਾਂ ही गलतियां हो गई ਹਨ अनजान बच्चा समझ के बख्श देना प्यारियो please please संगत जी forgive me for all my mistakes I'm on a journey as the Sangat is sitting here is on a journey I'm also on a journey Sangat ji this Katha is not only for the Sangat, but this Katha is also for me, Sangat ji. Please, please keep showering me with your blessings, Sangat ji. Guru Sahib ji himmat bakshan, the Guru blesses us with strength. And the Sangat's love and blessings, Sangat ji, keep us going. Keep showering me with your blessings that I'm able to serve with full devotion through this beautiful Bani of the Guru. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa,